Hong Kong is an international city. Due to its long history of having international aspects, the expatriates' perspective about Hong Kong's development throughout the history shows some subtle distinction from that of local Hong Kongers. The expatriates serve in various fields of work in Hong Kong, including the police force. They took a major role in the Hong Kong police since the establishment during the colonial period, and therefore the expatriate police officers can be considered as witnesses of Hong Kong's history and its development since the colonial period. These expatriate police officers have been working in various fields of police works from traffic control to crime investigation. Mr. Glenn O'Neill, a senior superintendent of police deputy head in the Commercial Crime Bureau, has been working in the force for the past 28 years since 1990.
If you look at theories of policing, they say the police force, the makeup of the police force should reflect the diversity of the community it polices. So you should have a certain percentage of Chinese. So Hong Kong, you would say, well, in that case, you should have a certain number of Indians, Pakistanis, Filipinos, Indonesians, expatriates. We have a way for people to get into the police force, but they must be permanent residents. They must have a certain level of English and a certain level of Chinese. Now, there has been talk about adjusting these entry requirements to increase diversity, but I do see one issue, possible issue in the future will be the lack of diversity, not only in the police force but also in the government.
Hong Kong is now part of China. However, its history as an international city makes the perspectives of the expatriate officers about Hong Kong's history more distinct and significant. Even after their retirement, some expatriate police officers decided to remain in Hong Kong and spend their retirement.
I used to read a lot about foreign countries, other countries, and decided when I was 19 to try to visit some other part of the world other than Scotland, and signed up to join the colonial police in Hong Kong.
Mr. Dowie was the first expatriate officer after the handover to be awarded with the OBE by the Queen Elizabeth II.
Constables and sergeant rank were always left to the locals, but we could come in we would always come in as an inspector rank and above. So that was colonial policing. So fortunately in Hong Kong we also allowed direct entry Chinese inspectors in at the same level as us, and through those Chinese inspectors, those Chinese colleagues, I was able to learn a lot about Hong Kong itself.
This is like sort of like a senior general, it's assistant commissioner.
Mr. Paul Mounsey is also a retired expatriate officer who served in Hong Kong from 1982 to 2014. He remained in Hong Kong after the handover and his retirement.
I came from a fairly industrial town in the northwest of the UK. There was a lot less industry and a lot less money. Hong Kong was far, far wealthier. But at the same time, there was a lot of contrast. There was a lot of cutting-edge, state-of-the-art development.
The expatriate officers were told that they could continue on with their service in the force after the handover in 1997 with minor changes in their work environment.
We had chosen to stay because we were given the option in 1997 to go if we wanted to. I mean, I was part of a group, one of our staff associations, that went to Beijing in 1994, and we had all expected that our career would end on the 1st of July 1997.
Since many of the expatriate officers are facing their retirement with no new recruits, the number of expatriates in the police force is in a sharp decline. Mr. Tallday, who served as a police and a lawyer after his years in the force, was able to tell us his viewpoint on some of the differences before and after the handover.
Of course, we were all foreigners, weren't we? And many of us, Cantonese wasn't very good, although some of us were quite good. And we were sort of, it took a number of years, I suppose, for the average expat to really get to know things and get to know what was going on. As regards to the courts, I don't think there's much difference. The magistrates, probably, if anything, there's more acquittals a very broad statement I'm making, but it seems in many cases to be more acquittals now in the magistrates' court than we did in years gone by when the British were here.
In 1990, there were around 900 expatriate officers in the force. Today, only 60 remain in office.
But my personal opinion is that it's gone the other way. In fact, the mainland police force has had a greater impact on the way we operate. So what I would say is, my personal view is, I think as an organisation, we've become more conservative and more cautious. So I think I would like to see the police force be more outgoing, and I like to see this, more interaction with the public across different levels. So and more openness, because I think police forces, you must have the trust of your community you police.
The youngest and the last expatriate police officer recruited from overseas is expected to retire by 2028, marking an end to the 174-year-long history of Hong Kong's expatriate police officers.